So I was doing my live the other day, and my air conditioner was out, and I was sweating when they end up catching these knuckleheads for escaping. And I'm still getting mixed information. One sheriff said he was driving. Other people said she was driving. Or the other sheriff, the local sheriff, said she was driving. So I'm just kind of, he said she was driving, she crashed, but then he said Casey was driving. So I think it was just the sheriff that was local that was screwing up the story. But anyway, when I was covering the story live, my air conditioner went out. And last night, to say the least, I sweated my ass off. But anyway, these are all the tools that I needed to fix the problem. Who can figure out what tools are for what and what I had to do? Oh, this isn't in here. This is for my tractor problem. So this is, sorry, didn't mean to trick you. That's out. So I finally figured out it was the motor. And so that was the size of the motor. They gave me a different motor. I tried putting oil in here to see if it worked. It came on and it worked for like 10 minutes and it stopped again. So I'm pretty sure it was the motor. Now my capacitor, for those that know what it is, it was a 63. So a 3 was running this fan and 60 was running the compressor. Well, they didn't have this exact fan. So I got another fan that was comparable, but it needed a 4 instead of a 3. So they gave me a new capacitor, and it was either a 5 or a 10. So I had to wire it into the new capacitor. I just pulled these wires off the old capacitor, and I didn't hook it back up. So my old capacitor is still running my compressor. My new little 10 capacitor is running the new fan. And let's see here. The screws, you notice how these nuts are on top? See these little bolts here? The little nuts here? Well, these screws on the new compressor were about this long. So I figured I could just snip them off with these, and I did. I snipped them off, and that's what they look like. And then it would lay flat because these things sticking out were on this side. So when I laid it down, it was sitting up like that, and then I couldn't get the side screws in. So I had to cut these off. Well, once I cut these off, still wasn't flat enough. So then I had to file each of the 4 screws down level, so this would be level, so my side screws would meet. Let's see, this was just a screw. This was all rusted on top, but it was my blade, my fan, was stuck on there. So I put some of this deep creep in there, trying to let it break up and break away. Didn't break it up. I hit it, tried to knock it down, didn't break it up. This, I was heating it up, trying to break it up. That didn't break it down. Finally, I put this deep creep lubricant, which is supposed to be really good by Seafoam. Kind of expensive, but it seems to work pretty good. So, oh yeah, and the hacksaw, I forgot. After I cut the nubs off, they were still too long. Then I tried hacksaw them off. I got them almost level, and then there was a little nub, so then I had to file. So let me get rid of my tools after I explain why I used them. These two were trying to pry the fan off because it was welded, almost welded on. All this rust up here, you can tell this is rusty up top, and it's not as rusty down here. So the fan was here, and it was rusty, so I couldn't pull it off. It was on there. So then I left one of the tools out. I had to get this little guy on my air tool to come out and do the little bzz, 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 and file off all the rust. So filing off all that rust up and down, got it smooth enough, oiled it, put this, sanded it, tried to get it down, and I was finally able to get the fan off. So then I put the fan back on the new motor, and I was able to reuse the fan. So this tool had to cut the things. These were for prying the fan. These were for banging the fan down and then sliding it up, and it would always stop right there where it was rusted. So then I had to fix the rust problem. This was, I can't remember. Oh, I was pulling these little guys off because these little things were like welded on, and I couldn't get them off the freaking thing. So I had to use these to pull this off. This ended up being a good little screw hex for all the screws. These are the old 4 screws. I had to cut a couple of these off. Flathead. This was to lock the lock nut on the fan, because when a fan comes on here, I got to lock it on this flat side. You notice the side's flat. And this is all new to me. I didn't know any of this shit. These was where I just cut the damn wires off. I was going to disconnect them while I said, fuck it. So I cut all the wires off. But now I have these nice little wires, which are perfectly fine for something. And one side has a nice little connector on it. So I'll be keeping these wires for something, and they will come in handy. Zip ties, of course, I had to zip tie my wires. This was just fight grip to grab. I was cutting. I think I went through all my tools. I had to put some super lube on the new contacts. And when I put the hot wire and the white wire in, when I wired it, I'll slide in a little picture. I put a little of that super lube on it to make sure it was clean. Super lube, it's dielectric grease. It's not, everybody says, you know, you can go on the internet and watch it. People are going to tell me, man, that makes contact. You should never use that. It's non-conductive. They did a test. They stuck a bottle of it, stuck a hot and cold wire, and it wouldn't do anything. Anyway, so I cleaned up to prevent the corrosion, and then I wired it up. And, of course, my new fan goes both ways. This fan only goes one way, so you can't screw it up. My new fan is reversible. It can go either way. So I had extra wires. Well, the two wires were connected. So before I could close up my fan, I had to wire it all up and turn it on to make sure the fan was spinning in the right way so the fan would actually suck the air out. And luckily it was. But I still had to disconnect everything, finish wiring it, turn the fan upside down, screw it in, and then finally finished. So that was my fix. Okay, so I figured I'd just walk people through so they know what I did, and in case somebody else got the problem. So when I pulled the fan out, this is the old fan, it was working when it was upside down, but when I put it back in, it was not working. And the AC guy said because the bearings were loosened up when I was down here, and when I turned it back over, it put weight on the bearings, and that's why it wasn't working when it was down. He goes, your bearings are worn out. So he pretty much said I need a new fan. So this was the fan I had. It was a 1075 RPM is what the main thing they want to know. The amp is 1.3, phase 1, and then the horsepower is 1/5. So the fan I have now is 1/4. I didn't take a damn picture of this info. I've got it downstairs. Maybe I'll try to slide in a photo if I can remember of what the new fan is. So this is the wiring that I was looking at, and you notice I have one capacitor right here where these wires go into this capacitor and these wires from the compressor goes into the capacitor. So I had one capacitor working on both the fan and this, which is different now. This is just the diagram of my upstairs unit. This is what's in the attic. Now, all this is Greek to me. I have no idea what any of this means. Maybe you AC guys will know, but to me, this means nothing. This is what? The model number. It's a Ream. I know that. RC, blah, 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 blah. Refrigerant design, whatever. Okay, so that's my AC, again, in the attic. What do we got here? I thought I flipped this, but I didn't. This says I got a freaking filter up there. I've never cleaned a filter in the attic. I didn't even know I had a damn filter up there. I don't even know where the filter's at. If somebody knows where this filter's at, I wish I could kind of rotate this. Will it let me rotate? Yeah, that's what I want to do. Okay. So this says the filter installed in this unit is permanent type and requires periodic cleaning. Clean filter using cold water and filter. I have no idea what they're talking about. I've never cleaned or known I had a filter up there. I've got to go try this. I hope somebody, and after I get done with this video, I got to go try and find that damn filter. All right, so what do we got next? So these are the two new capacitors that I have. This is a 10, and this is for my new fan. My other capacitor was a 60 plus. I don't know why he gave me a 60 plus. Oh, no, this is just a plain 60. So my old capacitor, and I'll get to that picture in a minute. I don't know where that picture was at. Hang on, let me see if I can pull it up so people who are doing this will know what. This is the new capacitor. Ah, here we go. That was it. This is the old capacitor. So when I kind of zoomed in on this, I was able to see 60 plus 3 UFs. So the 60 ran the compressor and the 3 ran my fan. But my fan was smaller. It was 1/5 horsepower. Now I have a 1/4, and that's why it gave me a 10. So now basically I had one capacitor that was 60 for the compressor and 3 for the fan. So I disconnected my fan from this. So the 60 is still running the new or the old compressor with the old capacitor. I didn't do anything. I just simply disconnected the fan. But I will get back to that where we're at here. Where are we at? So I just bought a backup capacitor 60 for my compressor. So if the capacitor goes out on my compressor, I have a backup. I bought a 10 capacitor backup because this is the same one that fits my water pump, which I will show you in a minute. All right, so this is what my coil looks like when I pull this off. I still don't know where the hell this filter's at. This is they replaced the coil last time because this is what iced over. So I pulled this off to see if I had ice. I didn't, but it didn't run in an hour. So I'm assuming that it either melted or it didn't ice over. If your coils are ice over, it normally means you either have a leak of Freon or you have low Freon. And I didn't have ice over. I had ice over before. They came out, found out my coil was leaking, and they put in a new coil. And again, I'm not a compressor. This is just some video that I had. So this is my new compressor just for my fan. It's a 10 UFPF, whatever the hell that is. I don't even know. So I hooked up my new fan to this compressor. It is not hooked up to the old one. So this is, did I skip up? No, okay, here we go. So these are the new wires of my new fan, and I was kind of lost because this new fan, my old fan only had 3 wires. Had a black and 2 that went to compressor. This new one has these extra 2 wires. This is because my fan goes 2 ways. It will draw and it will pull. But since I'm not using it, I'm only using it one way, I didn't know what I should do with these different wires here. Oh, shit, sorry. So I didn't know what I should do with these different wires. Evidently, they're hooked together to make the fan spin one way. So I had to hook up everything and test it. And you know what? It was spinning the right way. If it was spinning the wrong way, I would have disconnected these and switched, and it would have made it spin the right way. I'm only using the fan to go one direction. All right? This is my new wiring. So this is what I wired up here. So I have my hot and my neutral because it's a 220. This isn't a neutral. It's another hot. So they're both hot. And I put my new fan. See, the old fan was connected to this capacitor. So it had more wires. And if you go back to the other picture, you'll notice those wires are gone. So I disconnected the fan. So this capacitor is only working for my compressor. I ran my new fan to the 2 wires that went to my little compressor. And the question I had on this was, does it matter which wire goes on which side, and does it matter which contact? Because this has 4 contacts. 1, 2, 3, 4. I said, does it matter? And the AC guy goes, no, it doesn't matter. I put them on the same one on opposite just because I'm anal. But according to him, I could have put this one here. I could have put this one here. I could have put this one here. I could have put it here. Doesn't matter. As long as they're separate. So these 2 are separate. On here, because the black wire came in here, I put the black wire here for the hot. And then on the neutral for the fan, I ran it over here. Which I really don't understand because this, he said, really isn't neutral. It's your second line of your 220. So if it's a 220, why did I put a neutral over here and why is it working? But it's working. So this is the new, electricity to me isn't that complicated, but when I get into 220s, I'm not as comfortable. So because this is 220 and I have 2 hots coming in to make it 220, basically I have 2 110s, I was kind of confused. But I put it this way and it worked. So hopefully I didn't screw it up. It's working and it's cool in the house. Okay? These 4 screws are for the cover screws, so I pulled those out and put the cover on. This is just basically don't be a dumbass and shark yourself. All right, I don't know why I took a picture of that. I was taking a picture of everything. This is the old capacitor. Again, I think I've already showed that. Now this capacitor does nothing but run my compressor. It doesn't have the fan on it anymore. This +3 was for the fan, but now it doesn't need it. So you notice these two wires here on the old compressor? This was my old fan. My old fan had this compressor hookup, this compressor hookup, and the black hot was over here. It had this little thing. So I just disconnected 1, 2, 3 wires to get rid of my old fan. My new fan, I had 2 go to the new compressor, and then my hot, I just put underneath this screw. Okay? So this is after I remove the old fan, and still the hot for the old fan is still hooked up. I haven't pulled that off yet. This is what my compressor looks like. I guess I did take a picture of the new fan. So these are the screws that were coming down so it wouldn't lay flat. This hole has to line up here so I can mount it. And it wouldn't do that because these screws were up. So I had to cut these off and file them down so this would fit low. And it ended up working. I should have got the information on the damn fan and I didn't. I guess that's the serial number maybe. But anyway, what else have I got? That's just the horses that I snapped because I was walking by and they were on that was running. Okay, so this is the 2 capacitors in my well house. And I was like, I want a backup for this. That's when he gave me the 10. He said this is a 10. This was the diagram for my well house. Some electrician out there can maybe read this. He said, oh, this capacitor is for this and this capacitor. So he gave me a backup capacitor for one. I don't know which one. So the little 10 that I bought an extra, supposedly it will fit my well house. And this is for my pump, for my water pump on my well house. And I guess that's it. So I don't know which capacitor I got that it replaces. Does it replace this one? Does it replace that one? I thought this might have been a relay. This was a capacitor, or this was a relay, this capacitor. Again, I don't know, and I can't read this sucker to know what the hell it is. This is a start capacitor. This is a run capacitor. So they are both capacitors. But are they the same? They look different to me. But are they the same? Anybody can answer that in the comments. That would be very helpful. And I just figured I'd share that because people were asking, did I have my AC fixed? It's working. The fan's working. It's blowing cooler air. I don't know how long it'll work or if it's the only problem. Now I got to go figure out where the hell that filter's at upstairs. All right, we'll see y'all later.
They've been out here. Why is Dad cussing at that big square thing? Because they've been watching me over the fence while I've been trying to fix this damn air conditioner. And it's like every time I turn around, you need this tool, you need that tool. That ain't working. Oh, shit, that's a problem. Oh, no, that's a problem. So it's working, not making noise. See my new little green ground wire? My other one didn't have a ground wire. Blowing out good hot air, sucking air in, cooling it. And when I plugged it in, it was 70 degrees coming out of the air vents. So yesterday it was 87 coming out of the air vents. So it definitely was the fan and or the capacitor, but I got a new capacitor now, and the capacitor is working for the compressor. So Dad's finished. He's not going to be cussing anymore. He's like, dude, thank goodness, man, you were having a fight. We were about to jump the fence and come save you. We thought that square box was beating you up. Hi, boys. All right, so we'll end that there on the air conditioner fix. Woo! I was able to park my tractor in there, back it in there, get it out of the sun. Hi, buddy. Dad's an AC worker now. I know, he's good. I know. Dude, just come give me some treats. I don't care about your AC shit. All right, we'll end that there.